Hi, welcome to Mathematics with Tom. I am Tom, and today what we're going to do is title frequency distribution. And actually that's our start as a frequency distribution, and then we're going to turn it into, we're going to end with a relative frequency distribution. Which is also known as AKA, also known as a probability distribution, also known as a probability distribution. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take the dot plot we made from our recent data set. Okay. All right, there's my dot plot. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a frequency distribution. And we'll make it right down underneath, so we'll make a frequency distribution. Frequency distribution. Okay. So it starts out much like the dot plot, except this time we're going to have both a horizontal axis and a vertical axis. So horizontal and a vertical axis. So let's make those. My horizontal axis needs to be the same numbers that we have. So our data set goes from 1 all the way up to 9. And then, so over here, so we're going to have, these are the data values on the horizontal axis. And so let's put this down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we need a vertical axis. And the vertical axis, you can have it. It doesn't have to, it'd be about where 0, it is where 0 is in this case. And notice what this is this is frequency. What is frequency? I'm going to tell you, actually I'm going to move my picture over just a little bit. Frequency is how often a value occurs. For example, in this case, the value of 1, if you look at our dot plot above, it occurred twice. There's 2 dots, so it occurred twice. Or a value of 2 also occurred 2 times because there's those 2 green dots. And a value of 3, look at that, 3 has 4 of those circles above it, or dots if you wanted to color them in. 4, so it has a frequency of 4. So we're going to make our frequency. Notice our frequency only has to go up to 4. That's the most, only has to go up to a count of 4 because that's the highest frequency that any one individual data set has, or data value has. So let's make our frequency to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I almost wrote a 5. 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So what we do though is we represent the data with a bar, just a single line. So from over 1 we'd go up, we have a frequency of 2, so I'm just gonna put a little dashed line over it. So now I'm going to remove these when I'm done, but if you wanted to put dashed lines in, maybe to help provide clarity, you can always do that. Anything that provides clarity in a picture is always welcome. But what's not welcome is ambiguity. That doesn't do anyone any good. So here we go. So over the 1, it goes up to 2. Make a nice vertical line there. And maybe I'll even make these with a thicker marker. So let's do that. I'll make this one nice and thick. There you go. And then the 2 also has a frequency of 2, so we come up to 2. Oops. I could do better than that. Look, I've even got a little cheater that straightens the lines for me. Now over 3, it's going to go all the way up to 4. All the way up to 4. 4 has a frequency of 2, so we've got another vertical line up to 2 from 4. Then, let's see what we have. Oh, the data value of 5 has a frequency of 3, so we go up to 3. 6 has a data value of 1, or has a frequency of 1. The data value of 7, I should be clear, a data value of 7 has a frequency of 1. A data value of 8 has a frequency of 2. Oh, whoops, that wasn't straight. Goodness. And a data value of 9, has a frequency of 3, so we come up to our 3 height. There we go. Look at that. That is a frequency distribution. And if you had a fancy layer like I did here, or an eraser, you can leave the little dashed lines, or if you were to take them out, oops. That didn't work like I thought. But anyway, that's a frequency distribution. I'll just show you with an eraser. If you didn't want to have all these horizontal lines, you don't really have to. But I think they provide clarity, so I'm going to leave them. Now we have to do a little bit of calculations, a little work here to get to the relative frequency distribution, or also known as the probability distribution. And what we want is, so relative frequency, relative frequency is the frequency as a portion of the whole. Well, what does that mean? Well, in this case, notice what we have. We have our total, and our total number of data points and we're going to often use the number n for that. Our total number of data points, n, is n equals, and notice that we have 20 values here. If I count up all these dots, let me just count them to make sure. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'll show you. I'm using a blue pen. So here, I'll make a dot as I count. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 20 values. So n is 20. Those little blue slashes through the dots as we counted. So in other words, if we look at the number 1, its proportion, or portion of the whole, is it had a frequency, it occurred twice of the 20 values. So 2 over 20, that's 1/10. In other words, this would be 0.1. And also 2 occurred twice. So we'll just go through all of these. Number 2, it occurred, data value of 2, it occurred twice of the 20 total values. So that would be 0.1. Let's see, what else do we have? The 3s. Let's look at the 3s. The 3's occurred 4 times. 4 of 20. That's going to be 0.2. The 4's occurred twice. We know that. It's going to be 0.1. The 5's occurred 3 times. So let's go down to the 5's. Occurred 3. So 3 of 20. Well, if you're not sure how to do that, there's a couple ways. I'm going to grab a calculator. So let's do that. Let's grab a calculator. Fortunately, I've got one handy. I tend to have one handy. That's what happens when you're a math teacher. So let's take 3, divide it by 20, divided by 20. And in the bottom right, on the TI-83s, TI-84 calculators, or this is GraphenCalc, the app, which is just a app version of the traditional calculator. Your equal button is enter. So 3 divide 20, press enter, 0.15. 0.15 equals 0.15. And, oh, the next one is 6. This is the only calculation we haven't done yet, was a 6. 6 is, oh, actually, yeah, I'll finish that. 6 is 1 of 20. So let's go back to our calculator and check. So if I take 1, divide. Notice that the divide button is the little dot with a horizontal line and then a dot below it. But it displays as a forward slash on the screen. 20, 1 divide 20, enter 0.05. The 7 occurs once, so we know that answer. Occurs 1 out of 20, but we already said that that's 0.05. The 8 occurred twice. Well, we've done that a calculation now a couple of times. 2 out of 20, this is 0.1. And then the 9 occurred 3 times of the 20 total. So that's 0.15. And then I skipped over the 4, so let's put the 4 back up in here. The 4, we had already done the calculation, occurred twice of the 20. In other words, 0.1. There we go. These numbers here, these proportions, represent, or now will represent, the vertical axis in our relative frequency distribution. So, as you can see, it kind of ran out of space on this screen. I'm going to copy these numbers here. I'm going to copy these and go to a new page. You don't have to go to a new page if you don't want. But if you ran out of space, maybe a clean piece of paper. Let's copy that, and then let's go to a new screen. Okay, now from here we can make our relative frequency distribution. Which is, or you could, aka probability distribution. Probability distribution. Okay, and here we go. Now look at this. On our vertical axis, it counts up in 20ths. So the first 20th was 0.05. The next 20th would be 0.05, then 0.05 again, which takes me to 0.1. So let's count. Let's do it this way. I'm going to go, here's my vertical axis. And my horizontal axis, go this way. So let's put our data. So we have our data values. You can just put data or data value. That's either is fine. So we have 1, Remember, these go all the way to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Little extendo there. 9. And then now we go up by 0.05. So our first tick mark is 0.05. And we go up another 0.05 units, which is 0.10. We go up another, that's going to be 0.15. I put a 0 down there. 0.05. And then we'll go up again, 0.20. Now I could go up again, but there's no need to, because if you look at our information up above, here, our numbers, the largest frequency that we have, or the largest proportion, was right, where did it go? Oh, right there, the 3s. Look at that. They go up to 0.2. Those are our, so we don't need to go any higher. All right, and then we just draw bars. We draw bars in the same way that we did for our frequency distribution. But now notice that on our vertical axis, now this is the relative frequency. Okay. You could also write these as percentages, and we might do that later in the course. But for now, we're just going to write relative frequency or proportion. We'll just leave relative frequency. I think that works just nicely. And you can scoot it over so it looks good. And then here we go. Now it proceeds as you might expect. Let's make these in this pretty blue color. So 1, the data value of 1 goes to 0.1, which is right there. And then 2s, they go the same height. So we'll also go up to here. And the 3s are going to go all the way to 0.2. So take those up. The 4s are to 0.1, so we'll extend that dotted line up. Where's the 5s are 0.15, so let's come over here. 5s. What else do we have? 6s, those are 0.05, so these are down here, lower. 7s, these are at the same height, so just go to there. 8s, so we're going back up here. 8s go up to 0.1. And finally, the 9s are all the way up to 0.15. Oh, man, why did it go back? There, look at that. You gotta like that. Nope. There. Talk about determination. I know. It probably wouldn't really make a difference, but for the sake of presentation, we'll make everything nice and square, perpendicular, and at the right height. And that is how you make a relative frequency distribution, which is also called the probability distribution. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.